Good evening and welcome to another edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV. I'm Tommy Chrysan, joined by NFL scout and Fox Sports football analyst Chris Landry. Chris, how you doing?
Doing well. It's game week.
Game week.
Well. It's game week.
We hadn't said game week since January 4th.
Been a while.
4 days before the Cotton Bowl since we said game week. So we're happy about that. We know LSU fans throughout South Louisiana, all over the country on the internet, are very excited to finally be able to say it is game week. It is here. And I know you're ready to go. It's going to be a jam-packed show for you tonight here on Tigers Roar. Really need you to help spread the roar. Quick comment. If you're catching this on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday in any of the many stations that pick it up and run Tigers Roar, you got a replay going. We got a little phone call to the studios of the Pelican after last Thursday night show saying, how can you not know?
Wednesday night show,
they were watching the replay.
Oh, they were watching the replay.
And they thought we had bad information when we didn't have it on Wednesday. So Wednesday night live, 8 to 10 p.m., Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, and on the internet at PelicanSportsTV.com. A couple of housekeeping announcements for you. Don't forget, immediately following the LSU-Oregon football game, it is the Phones First WJBO Pelican Sports TV post-game show. Live, 2 hours. Game's going to end approximately 10:30, give or take 5 or 10 minutes. Within minutes of the clock saying 000, you've got Phones First, WJBO, Pelican Sports TV post-game show. It'll be on the radio on WJBO 1150 a.m. and, of course, here on Pelican Sports TV. I'll be the host of that program for this week. I am joined, I'm going to put it this way. My co-host is Richard Condon. Everybody's heard of Richard Condon on the radio in Baton Rouge. Richard Condon will be the regular co-host, except for this initial game, because he is going to be in Arlington attending the game. Mike Delicano, former Louisiana Tech player, had a cup of coffee with the New Orleans Saints. Local football expert, appears on the Jimmy Ott radio show on a regular basis. Mike's going to join me in studio. Richard will join a couple of times over the phone from Arlington, but every game after that, you got Richard Condon and me, Tommy Chrysan, in the studios with the Phones First WJBO post-game show, immediately following all LSU football games, including the Thursday night game in Starkville, the Friday game against Arkansas. You got the post-game show, just like you did last year, right here on Pelican Sports TV and, of course, on the radio airways of WJBO, 1150 a.m., and they do stream online. Speaking of radio stuff, don't forget, we've got the Chris Landry Show tomorrow and each and every Thursday on The Score, 1210 a.m., streaming online at thescore1210.com with the guy that's been there and done that, NFL scout, Fox Sports football analyst Chris Landry. Chris, a hint of what you'll have on this week's edition of the Chris Landry Show.
Well, we're going to focus one-on-one on the spread offense, Oregon's version. Exactly what is it? You hear a lot about it, and we're going to kind of break it down. What do they try to accomplish with it? How do you try to defend it? We're going to get deep into that and get into Oregon's personnel. We'll do some tonight. Get into LSU and how they plan to attack it, and also get a look around how I think maybe some of the conference races will end up this college football season. So we're going to focus on that. It's game week, and every week we'll break down some key games, and obviously this week we're going to focus on the LSU-Oregon game.
And, of course, Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. on that same station, 1210 a.m., which is a sister station to WJBO, which has the post-game show. The Score, 1210 a.m., Pelican Sports Radio, 3 to 4, Monday through Friday, also streaming online, thescore1210.com, where we mix it up every day. We take your phone calls, the whole bit. It's been game week there as well. If you want to keep up with all of that, our Facebook page is Pelican Broadcasting. That's the Facebook page. Great way to keep up with Pelican Sports TV, Pelican Sports Radio, the Chris Landry Show, the Phones First WJBO post-game show. It's all on Facebook. Go ahead and friend us or follow us on Twitter at Pelican Sports. We do have a YouTube page, which we put a lot of the features up from Tigers Roar, such as an interview with LSU soccer star Mo Isom tonight, done by Carter Bryant. Probably tomorrow it'll be on YouTube. Mo Isom, I apologize. One of the most popular female student athletes on the LSU campus. We'll hear from her later in the program. What we're going to have for you tonight, we're going to talk about the off-field distractions, get some comments from players and coaches about that. And, of course, Chris Landry's going to get you ready for Oregon. We got an extensive breakdown. Offense, defense, special teams, Oregon, and LSU. Chris will get you ready for all of that with his commentary. A little bit later in the program, we will hear from Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com. We'll open the phone lines a little bit later as well for you to comment and call in and with questions, topics, and all that good stuff. We'll make that run through the LSU Athletic Department, which will include the soccer interview with Mo Isom by Carter Bryant of the Pelican Sports TV staff. So, Chris, well, we got a lot to do.
Got a lot to do, no question about it.
The coaches are busy, and so are we, right? And our staff. I mean, we want to point out, Chris and I get to sit here and try to look good on TV, which is hard for either one of us to do. However, our staff, these guys work 7 days a week. I know you're sending them info all day and yesterday, and Carter and Chris were out doing that soccer thing last Friday. Tigers Roar got a lot of people that go into this, plus the support of the ownership here at Pelican Broadcasting. So got some new sponsors tonight. We're going to tell you about how that's going to go. Got some new sponsors joining next week. We always welcome you. You interested in sponsoring this program or post-game show? PelicanBroadcasting@gmail.com. That's another great way to contact us. When we come back, we'll have some Chris Landry stuff for you, the NFL scout, Fox Sports football analyst, and I'm going to tell you where I got this good-looking LSU coach's shirt when we return with more of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Heinen, Miss Louisiana Team USA 2011.
And I'm Paige Pennick, Miss Louisiana USA 2011.
And
you're watching Pelican Sports TV.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair.
Come see the many great lines we carry in bridal, bridesmaids, mothers, flower girls, tuxes, and more. We also carry over 25 top designer lines in debutante gowns, Mardi Gras, pageant, and prom. Come meet me and my staff with over 30 years of bridal and pageant experience. Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair, Burnside and Gonzales, where service matters.
When you need to hire, you need to know about Better Baton Rouge Jobs, Better Acadiana Jobs, and NewOrleansJobsList.com. We have a faster, more affordable way to find and hire employees. Now you can save even more with this special offer from Pelican Sports TV. Post your job listings on any of these sites and use promo code Pelican10 to save an additional 10%. Find qualified applicants and save money too with promo code Pelican10. And remember, we're free for job seekers and great for Louisiana business.
Our primary fundamental belief is that better ingredients, better pizza is quality, and that's what Papa John's is all about. Nobody does what Papa John's does.
Right now, get any large pizza with your choice of toppings, even our signature specialties, only $11. That's right. Order now at papajohns.com and get any large pizza with any toppings, just $11, only at papajohns.com.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
We continue with Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV. Again, I'm Tommy Krysan, and I got this good-looking LSU coach's shirt on. I probably should have let Chris Landry wear it. He was an LSU coach. I was a media coach one year under Coach Saban at the spring game. But anyway, this good-looking shirt with LSU, Nike on it. This is black, obviously, with the purple. They've got the white, the gold, the yellow. It's all at Tiger Bait Sports Apparel. Good friends of us who have actually started a radio advertising campaign, but you can't see the shirt on radio. So they told me, can you wear it on Tigers Roar one night? Tiger Bait Sports Apparel, Airline Highway in Prairieville. You don't have to, if you can't get to Prairieville, you're watching somewhere around the country, go to tigerbaitsports.com. You can order these shirts. They'll ship them to you. They got all kinds of LSU gear. Get in that store. Tiger Bait Sports Apparel. You see 17424 Airline Highway, Prairieville. Phone number, and then we've got tigerbaitsports.com is the website address. Get on down there soon. And again, one more quick look at this shirt. It's the shirt the LSU coaches will wear on the sidelines this year. Again, Chris, I guess I should have had you modeling this shirt. Neither one of us looked good enough to model, but I guess came in my size. I guess I got lucky. Anyway, Chris, certainly a lot of off-the-field distractions the whole offseason for LSU, from the Cotton Bowl forward, actually. And certainly a lot in the last handful of weeks with the incident near campus at an establishment, and unfortunate, and it is a distraction. What we're going to do is we're going to go right to Coach Miles here and hear him and and a few of his players talk about the distractions and the effect on the team, good or bad, and then we'll come back and Chris and I will elaborate. Here's Coach Les Miles and some of the players commenting on the distractions from the fight and team suspensions.
Off of the distractions of camp and the issue that involved a number of our players, I think our guys understand very fully the mistakes that were made, and it is a very interesting one when you describe what can happen. And you do so repeatedly when it does. In fact, that lesson is learned very quickly.
First, it was tough because of all the speculation. Is Jordan going to be able to play? Is he not going to be able to play? It was tough for us to deal with. Of course, losing one of our leaders. But now that we know he's for sure not going to be in this game, it'll be easier for us to get our backup quarterback some more reps, and it'll allow us more to focus on the game instead of the current situation that we're dealing with.
The distractions play a role in life, but you really have to just overcome it. You have to stay focused, in the common goals that we have as a team. So it just really us coming together as a team, being there for each other now.
It's an unfortunate situation about what happened, but I feel, as I've been in this situation before. I played football games here before, so I just feel like the best thing to do is just step in and do what I can for this team. We got a great team, great group of guys, so we're excited about this upcoming game and just looking forward to the season.
I think that when it's kind of what we've asked our team to do, really in several different events here. Katrina, Rita, Gustav, really a number of different times where we've had to deal with some adversity, and I don't know that it's young players stepping up so much as it is an understanding that when we go onto the practice field, that it's about playing football and developing a team and pursuing excellence, and that commitment has really not changed.
Coaching staffs on both the collegiate and professional level. First question I have for you is the coaching staff. What is their method? What is their means of dealing with the distractions? We don't need to sit here and rehash what happened. I'm going to assume that 100% of you watching know what happened. So from a coaching perspective, Chris, how are they trying to convey to their team to move beyond this and be ready to play a good Oregon football team?
Well, it is a little different, but you have to treat it like you treat an injury. I mean, you're one play away in a game from somebody going down, and it's next man up, and it's about, pulling together as a team. And while this is certainly maybe a little bit more troubling in terms of what played out, the end result of how you prepare as a coaching staff and as a team as it relates to football is something that, an injury, a player's going to get over it as long as it's not life-threatening or career-threatening. This has a personal tone to it that you worry about the well-being of the person involved. But from a football standpoint, it is just that, about next man up, about preparing everybody for a situation to step into the next role. So you really have to treat it much like you do an injury.
Well, and as I mentioned, you've been on coaching staffs collegially and professionally. Well, the staff, Les Miles and his staff, in all the experiences that they have at all the different stops they've made on their resume, I'm sure there have been incidents. We didn't hear about them on ESPN, we didn't hear nationally, but I'm sure these guys are seasoned up a little bit in dealing with a distraction or adversity. I mean, it's part of coaching.
Absolutely.
You coach a youth football team, you're going to have some type of distraction or adversity. It might be what kind of pizza do they get from Papa John's after the game, but you got to deal with it. So these guys, I think the fans have to defer to the fact that these guys probably have a plan for handling this and they're implementing it.
Well, how you deal with adversity is the key to winning as a coach and as a team, because it's not a question of if you're going to have adversity, it's just how you deal with it once you have it, because everybody has it. To what degree, Sometimes it comes in bunches. Sometimes it's spread out. There are different ways, but there's no question that you have to deal with. That's what life's all about. And quite frankly, football is a great teacher of the game of life. And when you make mistakes, you penalize for it. And certain things happen to good people, and injuries take place. So it's about how you deal with it. The old saying is life's at 10% about what happens to you, and the other 90% is about how you deal with it. And there's no question that that is definitely true, and it relates to football.
And now what has to happen is you must turn your attention to the game. I mean, the players have to do it, the coaches have to do it, the equipment managers, the trainers, everybody's got to turn their attention. Let's get some comments from Coach Miles and some players about turning their attention to this weekend's game, Saturday night in Arlington against Oregon.
Our opponent is a 12-1 team. They are the runner-up to the national champion at Auburn. They returned 13 starters, 7 on defense, 6 on defense, or excuse me, 7 on offense, 6 on defense. Very talented. Chip Kelly has done a magnificent job since he's been there. He's recruited extremely well. I watched their all 3 phases. They have talent at every spot. And again, I think Chip does a great job preparing them.
Preparation is key. So I just want these guys to know that, you know, something, you know, like what happened this last week, we kind of got to put that to the side. And we know that we have Jordan's back and all our teammates back. And so we're just going to keep working hard because we know that's what they would do for us. So, you know, this week we know it's a huge week, and we got to keep working hard. And you know, come Saturday, we got to be have our A game.
You know, anytime you can, you know, just maintain focus, you know, and get back to what you're doing, you know, which is playing football. You know, it speaks volumes to where we're at right now, and I can't wait.
You kind of made reference prior to those clips of, you know, the coaching staff having to treat it like an injury and move forward, because obviously Oregon's showing up, the ref's going to blow the whistle, somebody's going to kick off, got a football game to play with number 3 ranked Oregon, number 4 ranked LSU, so you have to turn your attention to the game. You don't have any choice, because if you don't have your attention when you show up Saturday night, Oregon's going to make it ugly.
Absolutely. They're not going to have any sympathy, nor any opponent would, and shouldn't. And it goes to your preparation. I think every situation that comes out, you have to be prepared for every situation. And certainly, I think the difficulty that LSU has to deal with here is they've put a lot of time and effort into development of Jordan Jefferson, anointing him as a coaching staff, as a team leader, and giving him the majority of the reps. Now, obviously, in a heartbeat, you have to turn over and Jarrett Lee's the quarterback, and he's going to lead us. And by the way, he's voted team captain for the game. And all of that has to happen very quickly. And in a way, you've got to sell it internally. But it is certainly a byproduct of everything that you do. And I think the end result is about how you prepare for it every step of the way. The fortunate thing for LSU is that Jarrett Lee has been around the program for a while. He's had success, particularly last year, in a relief role. Now it's a different role that he takes place. He is the guy. He's the guy that he's going to get it from first snap to last snap, and he's going to have to lead this team. He's going to have to work through adversity himself in the game, and how he does that himself is going to be important. He brings a different skill set than Jordan Jefferson, so we'll get into that as the show goes along. But as a pocket passer, you see him make a touchdown pass to Terrence Tolliver and the comeback win against Florida. So you see him step up and make a big-time play against Alabama. I thought that was the difference-making play that really did a good job. Alabama playing in 2-deep zone, and he really steps up and make a big-time play. He's got good arm ability, good arm talent, as we like to call it. How can he handle things from a pocket standpoint, pocket presence, and certainly from a protection standpoint? We'll get into the injuries on the offensive line for LSU, but keeping a clean pocket is going to be important, and running the football, quarterback's best friend, a good running game, and we'll get into that, and the tight end play. All that's going to have an effect on how effective he can be.
A question for you, Chris. In consideration with everything that has happened, does Les Miles say, Jack, come step in my office, one-on-one, not a team situation, not a position situation, and say, coach to my 5th-year senior quarterback whose script has just changed? Does he call him in, or would he have done that anyway, or does he do that in particular because of what's going on, just to kind of, coach right to the quarterback, look him in the eye and say, obviously you're the guy, I got confidence in you. You know, we know you can do it. You know, do what you do best. And does he do something like that? Do you think?
Absolutely. I know I would. I mean, that's just. I mean, really being thorough and making sure, just having that time. You know,
one-on-one. Nobody else around.
One-on-one. Just sit down and just listen and listen. Maybe to any concerns he might have, and get a feel for it too, because sometimes maybe a player might be a little more comfortable with certain parts of the offense, may not be in a new leadership role, may not be as comfortable as speaking up in the meeting, and you want to make sure as a head coach that you develop a comfort level for where his questions and comfort level is. But absolutely, here's what we expect of you, here's what your role is, be yourself. We don't want you to be anybody else. We want you to be you, and here's what we expect of you. And I absolutely want to have that meeting. I think you do that with any starting quarterback, but in this circumstance, I think you spend a little extra time cultivating that.
And I think a key thing you just said that I want to echo, you ask him his concern. You know, again, you're private. You're not in front of any other players. You know, Les Miles said, Jack, what is your number one concern about what's going on now? And then, you know, because then maybe you got time to address that concern and maybe eliminate it or decrease the level of concern. I think that's a key point that you made there. We got a little graphic for you. Obviously, the game will be played September 3rd in Cowboys Stadium. Oregon preseason number 3, LSU preseason number 4. As Coach Miles referred to, Oregon 12-1 last year. Lost in the BCS National Championship game 22-19 to the Auburn Tigers. LSU in this same stadium defeated Texas A&M 41-24 to win the Cotton Bowl and conclude the season at 11-2. ESPN Game Day is going to be present in Arlington for the game. 37,000 minimum tickets got to LSU people fans. Les Miles even kicked a bigger number out. Chris, I personally know a bunch of people who are just going to Arlington to be a part of a Purple and Gold weekend and find an establishment to watch the game or just hang out and tailgate and see the, you know, be a part of the festivities. That could be 50 or 60,000 LSU fans or more, because there'll be some in that area that are LSU fans that are going to go out there too, not just traveling from South Louisiana.
Well, and it's a fan-friendly travel event when you butt it up against a Labor Day weekend. A lot of people have off on Monday, so you know, a lot of people may take long weekends, take either Thursday or Friday off, and you know, probably people will be heading up there Friday, if not Thursday. So, yeah, it gives a good long weekend, an opportunity for fans to enjoy a great atmosphere. It's going to be a great atmosphere. They're going to close the roof. The air conditioning's going to be there, so the heat and humidity not going to be a factor in the game. But it should be a great venue. All the pomp and circumstance that are around it are going to be a lot of fun, and certainly I think the matchup is going to be a very intriguing one as we get into it. A very good Oregon team that I think poses some problems to LSU, and we'll get into how LSU, I think, will have to probably attack them.
We'll certainly get into that analysis by Chris Landry throughout the bulk of this program. Again, Tigers Roar, live every Wednesday night, 8 to 10 p.m. If you got if you got us on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, and I mean that could be a lot of places. We do have numerous outlets that pick up replays of this show, as well as it gets repeated here on Pelican at times. We want you to help spread the roar. We're going to be here every Wednesday night with just jam-packed good stuff for you. Before we go to break and come back and have Chris start getting into the game, I want to tell you about a nice new sponsor that we have, Bryson Law Firm. Kerry Bryson and his staff do a great job. It's a law firm with a focus on tax resolution. You got any kind of tax issue, call the local guy. And ironically, they have offices in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans. Obviously, Pelican Sports TV is in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans. So they're going to have a key stat of the week for us every week. We don't have stats yet, so they got some LSU football facts for you. LSU is 23-0 in non-conference regular season games under Les Miles, and Les Miles is 6-0 in season opening ball games, obviously heading into his 7th year here at LSU. Those LSU football facts, again, sponsored by the Bryson Law Firm. Kerry Bryson, call his office in your area, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, or New Orleans, or visit brysonlawfirm.com. It's your local firm with a focus on tax resolution. Chris Landry, Tommy Krysan, we'll come back with more Tigers Roar. I want you to spread the roar. We're coming back, get you ready for Oregon right here on Tigers Roar, Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans.
Hi, I'm Troy Landry. You're watching Pelican Sport TV. I'm fixing to shoot him. Shoot him.
When you go hunting for tires, be sure to go to Hunt's Tire and Car Care, established in 1988. Hunt's Tire offers complete car care services and can meet all of your tire needs. From north to south, east to west, come see Les for the best. Michelin tires and great service. Call 272-7404. Relax in the customer lounge while waiting for your vehicle. Serving the greater Baton Rouge area since 1988, Hunt's Tire and Car Care is ready to serve you.
Explore the charms of the North Shore and visit St. Tammany Parish. Whether you're looking for a cultural experience or an adventure, you'll find it here. Enjoy great attractions and fantastic dining in a relaxed and friendly atmosphere.
Come visit us and discover the history and heritage that is Louisiana's North Shore.
For more information, log on to louisiananorthshore.com/bb.
Hi, I'm attorney Kerry Bryson. My law firm focuses specifically on helping people try to solve their IRS tax problems. Lately, so many new out-of-state companies are popping up claiming that if you send them money, they can resolve your IRS problems. Well, what happens if they don't? Do you hire an attorney? Maybe you should start with a local attorney that's already handled hundreds of IRS cases right here in Louisiana. When you hire the Bryson Law Firm, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some out-of-town high-pressure salesman. You'll meet with us in person at our office right here in Baton Rouge. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and we'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it'll cost. So if you're hiring a company to resolve your IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, check their reputation first, then call me, Kerry Bryson, or go to brysonlawfirm.com. If you're a Louisiana resident and you have an IRS problem, hire a Louisiana attorney, Kerry Bryson.
The family dental practice of Dr. Farrell Fruget Jr. and our highly trained staff are dedicated to providing care and treatment to our patients of all ages in all aspects of dental care. 23 years of experience and advanced training in cosmetic and restorative dentistry, TMJ, and treatment of snoring and sleep apnea allows Dr. Fruget to assist you in achieving the best in dental health. Call us today at 292-9700 to schedule your initial evaluation, because we know how to make you smile.
Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV. Chris, when I think of the Oregon Ducks, I think of Dan Fouts. I think of what was it, Rashad Moore, who became
Bobby Moore,
who became Ahmad Rashad. And I think of Oregon getting clocked by LSU back in 1977. Charlie Alexander with a big night in Tiger Stadium and a huge win by LSU. Of course, that was a long time ago. None of these players are even close to being born yet. But they're a number 3 ranked team that, as we said, lost the BCS National Championship game to Auburn last year. And that program in the hands of Chip Kelly is in very good shape.
Well, you know, certainly Phil Knight, who's head of Nike and that nice shirt you're wearing, and has put a lot of money into that program. The facilities would astound you. They have some of the more unique facilities, a great part of the country in the Northwest, but a lot of excitement. Autzen Stadium, not a huge stadium, but as loud a stadium as you're going to find on the West Coast. And they have state-of-the-art locker rooms, I mean, where the big computer screens and all the gadgets and bells and whistles. So it's their philosophy was if they could get kids to come on campus for a visit, they would commit and stay. And what they have done, Mike Bellotti did a good job for Rich Brooks as the offensive coordinator. He took over the program. Mike Bellotti, as he was kind of gravitating towards the end of his reign, he brought in a very bright coach from New Hampshire that did a great job with the spread offense, using Ricky Santos, who's a great quarterback at New Hampshire, and Chip Kelly was brought over. Chip Kelly, by the way, really credits Gary Croton, former LSU offensive coordinator, for really kind of being the mentor for him to learn that spread offense. What they do offensively by design is do a great job. The basic concept of the spread is to get defenses spread out horizontally and create spacing and use their backs. They have jump cut speed backs. They've got receivers that are very athletic. You see tight ends that they really work in the passing game, and they get you in an island and try to make you miss, and they've got a lot of speed in which to do so. Defensively, very good defensive team last year. Lose some key members up front, 2 good defensive ends, 2 good linebackers. Their best player, Cliff Harris, best defender anyway, Cliff Harris, and top prospect, will miss this game. He was the Patrick Peterson of the West Coast, and his ability to return kicks, as you look here, is just phenomenal. He's not going to be there, so that's a loss for them. But lest you think that this is not a very good team left coming in defensively, they've got some speed, and it's going to be quite a challenge. But on the offensive side of the ball, there's no question. This is what they do. High-pace, up-tempo offense. The challenge is, how do you keep up with them between snaps? They try to get to the line of scrimmage, 10 to 12, so that could snap it again. So your ability to keep pace is challenged and tested and tested. And it is not good enough to be 85, 90% effective against them. It's when they can gash you on the 1 or 2 plays after you've defended them well for 16, 18 plays in a row. They can score from anywhere, any place, anytime. So that's the challenge and the pressure that they put on you. And we'll get into some specifics of how you have to really contain that offense.
Right now, we're going to get some comments, some general Oregon comments and statements from Coach Miles and some of the LSU players from earlier this week out at the media luncheon and player interview session after. General Oregon comments.
Our opponent is a 12-1 team. They are the runner-up to the national champion at Auburn. They returned 13 starters, 7 on defense, 6 on defense. Or excuse me, 7 on offense, 6 on defense. Very talented. Chip Kelly has done a magnificent job since he's been there. He's recruited extremely well. I watched their all 3 phases. They have talent at every spot. And again, I think Chip does a great job preparing them.
You know, those guys have played some tough games. You know, those guys were in the national championship last year, so I won't take anything away from them. Those guys are fast, and all of them play some football.
The Auburn team, in my opinion, possessed the ball, threw the ball extremely well in that game, and you know, they came up with big plays. I didn't think that they had real great answers on offense. I did think that their defense played very, very well. I think there was an explosiveness at the line of scrimmage that several of the Auburn players, you know, really made some big plays. And you know, I felt like they were certainly deployed in a position to make plays. So I think there's some similarities between their defense and our defense. Looking at that you know, that game.
Made reference to Oregon football coach Chip Kelly, as did Coach Miles in those clips. I mean, he's a guy that has, you know, gotten Oregon in good shape.
Well, he's done a good job. Obviously, the program is in great shape, and when he took it, but he's taken that offense. He really is the guy that is the brainchild of this current offense, and they've done a good job in recruiting, and certainly been in some controversy there, but they've made some inroads in Texas, and they now are a chic program where big-time athletes, skill position players love to go there, and they certainly do a good job on the West Coast, but they are a team that's going to be built around speed, and more speed, and you see that, and certainly that's what LSU does on the defensive side of the ball. LSU's got a little more physicality, a little more size, but they certainly do a good job on the speed element, and they can be very physical, and they have some physical element to their run game, as we'll see. They like to get downhill in the zone read, as you just see right there, but everything is to set up. What they can do is getting players in open space.
Yeah, no question. You got some good clips here of Oregon from action during the course of last season, at different points during that season. Chip Kelly, he's the mastermind behind that offense, and it's a tough one. It's a very good one. Obviously, his career record at Oregon just saw 22-4. It's his first matchup with LSU, not Oregon's, obviously. Let's get some comments from Coach Miles and the players talking about the Oregon offense. Then we'll let Chris talk about it as well. Oregon offense coming right at you.
Offensively, they run that tempo offense that they can get up and get a ball snapped in 6 to 8 seconds, and they return maybe the marquee back in the country in LaMichael James. They return the a very, very talented playmaker at quarterback in Darren Thomas, and a number of offensive linemen, and they have great playmakers at wide receiver.
As far as the tempo goes, I would compare them to an Auburn. And the speed and the personnel, I would compare them to a Florida, somebody like that. I think they do a great job of, combining the two, and just capitalizing on all facets of their game.
That's it. We just want to get to those guys before they thinking they got a free running lane. Like I said, when they coming out of that quarterback read, we want to be right there in their face. So it's just really us being in the right spot at the right time and playing hard and fast.
We're extremely confident, in our abilities. Coach has done a great job and of just just maintaining a level of focus, an understanding of the schemes. But really, if we feel like as long as we can come out, and not think about the tempo as much, because that's kind of what our Achilles heel is, is the tempo. But as long as we can understand the tempo and just capitalize on our opportunities, I think it'll go well for us.
The point being is certainly we had summer study and off-season study that revolved around visiting with some of those people that ran into that offense, and some of the things that they may be using to combat it.
With any team, you want to take away their strengths, and their strength is their running game, and we feel like as long as we can control the line of scrimmage, I think we'll have a pretty good day.
Well, Chris, it's the Oregon offense with a lot of playmakers, a lot of talent on that team. As Coach Miles said, 7 returning starters on offense. Your breakdown and analysis.
Well, it really starts with Darren Thomas, who is an outstanding, big, fast, strong runner. He's got some size to his game as well, but he is very explosive and is really developed as an on-the-field leader and a great decision maker on the zone read play. He can throw it. He is not a dynamic passer, but very effective. They get guys open like that.
If you're open like that.
Yeah, but that's all because of his ability to pull it down and sell the play fake, and really does a good job here on the pitch and keep option, and he's got the ability to really run that offense. And of course, they have 2 great backs in LaMichael James and Kenyon Barner. And let me tell you, there's really very little slip off between the two. The 24 Barner just got the fake there. James is outstanding. Is got great ability to put his foot in the ground, change directions, and make you miss. They will use them in a 2-back set with Bonner in a slot a good bit. You see Josh Huff, number 1 there. That is their best receiver. Now, he's been banged up most of fall practice. Spent some time looking at a lot of their film, fall practice film. He was in pads and shells, and he is scheduled to play, and he's got the potential to really, the best receiver potentially, and has got the potential to be a big-time playmaker. They lose some key guys, particularly Jeff Mail off of last year's team at receiver. They've got really good tight ends, in particular David Paulson. You see the ability to get in space. That's the real key. Paulson is going to be a huge factor in this game. He's 241. He's an H-back type that he's got the build and quickness to be a mismatch problem for you. And on the play fake, they do a really good job with their play fake, and that's the real key. They've got a nice mixture of a zone read, some power play. They like to pull their linemen. The left side of their offensive line is very good. The interior of their offensive line, center, right guard, they've done a good job, has Steve Greatwood, their offensive lineman, of trying to get some size in there, but that's a little bit of Achilles heel. One of the things that they really struggled with against Auburn is blocking the A-gap, the gap between the center and guard, both sides. That's where Oregon was able to bubble that run and cause them some problems. Their ability to block the A-gap against LSU is going to be pivotal. If LSU gets penetration, it's going to be tough for them. But if they can block the A-gap, that really sets off their entire offense in getting upfield. So they're really good with the bubble screens, but they're really good with the play action off the bubble screen. What they like to do is set that up and then get your linebackers with free-flowing forward and then work the slot across the tight end. So they do a really good job, and the quarterback position, it's a big edge for Oregon in this game. The ability to throw the backs out of the backfield to the tight ends, to the receivers. They've got the playmakers without question and the speed to be able to isolate defenders in space and make some big plays. We talk about, and Les talked about possessing the football, and I think time of possession is more important for like an LSU, or it was in the case of Auburn. Not as much for Oregon. Oregon can score in minimal plays. But obviously, if you can possess the football against them, you keep your defense off the field, keep them fresher, and then obviously keeping a good basketball team from limiting the shots at the basket. Well, this is what you want to do. It's not time of possession, it's amount of plays, amount of snaps that they have on offense, because they maximize that pretty well. But it really starts, they're a spread run team, Tommy. I think that's the difference. People throw spread in the generic sense. This is not a spread passing team. It's a spread run team that can throw it effectively off their run game.
Also, they've got two key guys. We're going to look at some stats here. First up, for Darren Thomas. You've talked about him, Chris. Let's get a look at some of the numbers and statistics that he put up back in the 2010 season. Look at those numbers.
Well, listen, if you look at it, his ability, 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, he protects the football. They keep it out of harm's way. The decision-making that he makes, zone read quarterbacks are not just athletes. They have to make decisions on every play. They're different decisions than drop-back passing quarterbacks, but they're decisions nonetheless. The play fake, you saw that doing a really good job getting guys out of position, getting a guy in open space. They do a really good job. Pump fake here, selling it. You get a guy down the seam. They do a really good job with it. Then you come back, and as we saw the keeper there, but you've got the pitch keep option, and he is a running back when he's running the football. He has that type of run skills, but the ability to pull it down here and on the zone read and make the throw, and when they can get you coming forward to defend the run and commit in pursuit, that's when they attack you in the passing game. So they've got some versatility in their offense, and with some weapons that they do have and the speed that they possess, it can cause a lot of problems and sleepless nights for defensive coordinators.
And speaking of running backs, Coach Miles made reference to, this could be the marquee running back returning this season from last year. Look at those numbers, Chris.
Listen, he's a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate. He's going to put up big numbers. He's going to score touchdowns. He's going to catch a bunch of balls. He's going to get a lot of gains from scrimmage. Basically every time he touches the ball, it's 6 yards. It's as simple as that. He's a big-time player, and again, not real big, but plays with a little better strength. But his explosiveness to run by you as he does here, once he gets to the second level, is really impressive. But his ability to jump cut and make you miss is extraordinary. He's as good as any in college football, and I think that makes it very difficult and a little bit concerning for a fast flow pursuit team like LSU, because you've got to be really sound, trust your teammates, or else you make one false step here, it's to the house, and you put your teammates in a tough position. You can't arm tackle like we just saw there. One of the things that Auburn did extremely well against them, and it's a simple thing, it sounds simple, but it is not simple. They brought their feet defensively as tacklers. What does that mean? You've got to square up, and you've got to bring your feet and not lunge. Arm tackles are not going to do it for this guy. This guy is going to break free from it. You've got to rally around the football. You've got to get good pursuit angles, and you've got to bring your feet and wrap, and not like a putting a worm on a hook. You better make sure he's on there. He's going to slip through, and that's exactly what this guy does. And you see the vast array of moves he has here on this footage.
And of course, you kick it to the other side of the ball, and you got to talk about the Oregon defense. Everyone wants to focus on their offense. That seems to be the first thing talked about all the time. But you don't get to the BCS National Championship game at 12-0 if you hadn't played some defense along the way. Here are some comments from Coach Miles and players speaking about the defense on the Duck side of the football.
Defensively, I'd like to tell you that they were less talented. They're not. They have great speed. They attack the ball. They had 21 interceptions, and they forced 16 fumbles last year. They're a very athletic group, and they play their defense as well as it's played. They play zone and man, and they come from the field and they come from the boundary. But again, although that offense is touted, that defense plays as well, if not as difficult to attack as any.
It's a great team. So we just, as a quarterback, you just got to be smart. With a football, you got to know it's about preparation, about watching film. Prior to the game, about knowing what they give you and about knowing what you have, and just being smart with the football. And taking some chances, but overall you just got to be smart and just stay focused and take what they give you.
Well, I think that this is as talented a team as we've seen. They have speed really at all of the key positions, and they play outside linebackers, and outside linebackers are very fast on the edge. Their safeties have the speed, and the corners are really going to be kind of new to the field, and we're going to kind of see what they look like. I'm sure that they're as talented as they've had in the past, but both their tailback and their quarterback are as talented and certainly as fast as any that we will face. So, no, they match up with the fastest teams that we would line up against.
Chris, Coach Miles made a point. There are going to be 2 new cornerbacks out there for Oregon. Cliff Harris will not play, as we made reference to. Certainly these guys are talented. They're starting for a team the quality of Oregon, but they do not have experience, and I got a feeling that there's things in the offensive plan and package to test these guys and see what they're made out of.
Well, Anthony Gilden's a senior, and he was going to be the number 2 corner opposite of Cliff Harris. Now he is in the number 1 corner role, and he's a good player. He's got some length to him. He's got good playmaking skills on the ball, but he's not Cliff Harris. There's no question about it. Terrence Mitchell is a redshirt freshman that's a good-looking player. I think he also has some ability, but there's no question that they're going to test him a good bit. And they've got 2 great safeties. I mean, really great safeties. And John Boyette, you see there at free safety number 20, is a really athletic guy, not real big, but he packs a punch. Eddie Pleasant's an outstanding strong safety. He's a former linebacker, and much like LSU does in moving those guys around. This is a guy as a linebacker that had linebacker strength and size, and they moved him, and he's a very good player. And so they got really good athletes there. Now, the key is going to be, I think, that Ruben Randall has some matchup advantages, and I think you have to test them on the perimeter. And if you do that, then you're going to take John Boyette, the outstanding free safety, get him out of the middle of the field, have to roll coverage towards Randall's side, and that's going to open up the middle of the field for D'Angelo Peterson. So it'll be interesting to see how LSU plays it. But I think the secondary is pretty good. They don't match up as well when they have to go to their sub-package, but LSU is not a real explosive team in a short with Randall Shepard. Russell Shepard not away. With Ruben Randall there, he is the go-to guy, but without Russell Shepard, they're not going to be as effective in the 3 wide receiver set as Oregon's going to face, comparatively speaking, through the course of the season. So, but I think they're good. I think the biggest issue that I see that they're going to miss, Oregon's going to miss Brandon Bear in particular, who was an effective player. Zach Clark on the front was a good player. Kenny Rowe was a good player. They lack proven pass rushers. I do think that Terrell Turner is a good rusher. I think he has some ability to shorten the edge, but you will see them blitz a lot. Nick Aliotti is a very aggressive defensive coordinator. He will bring a lot of corners from the slot. I think they're very athletic at linebacker. I think that, of course, they're going to miss Kiko Alonso, one of the guys that they've suspended, along with the Cliff Harris situation. But Josh Cadell is a really athletic guy who plays Sam Macker. And I think Busika Lokembo is a really good-looking player that is an athlete that they're trying to work into Mike linebacker, much like LSU is trying to get Cornell Hatcher ready to go at Mike backer. So they got some speed on the second level of their defense, and they're going to come after it. They're going to play the run with numbers. They're going to try to load the box early on early downs against LSU. And I really believe that the real key in this game on this side of the ball is their ability to defend on first and second downs against LSU. If they can force LSU into an average of 3rd and 5 or longer, 5 or more yards, they're going to win this game. If LSU can average 3rd and less than 3 yards on 3rd downs, LSU is going to win this game, because I think big playability in passing situations might be a little more difficult for LSU against their blitz looks. But I think they have an advantage to be able to run the football, but they're going to have to take some advantages, I think LSU will, being a little bit aggressive in the passing game on early downs against loaded fronts, because I think that's what Oregon's going to do. And I think you can really loosen up the box, and you can get John Boyette and Eddie Pleasant out of the box as run defenders, make them stay back a little bit, and then make them force him to defend the perimeter of the passing game, that's going to create some opportunities. And I think let Jarrett Lee develop some confidence and have some good matchups that he could take advantage of.
I'm sure Eddie's been a pleasant surprise for the coaches. I had to do that when I was looking at that graphic earlier. Okay, we looked at the offense, the defense. Oregon special teams, again, you don't get to the BCS title game without having all three phases of the game. Here's Coach Miles with brief comments about the Oregon special teams, and then we'll speak about it after.
In special teams, they lose a returner, it appears, but their backup returner is a great returner, and I don't think they'll miss a beat there. They have great speed on coverage units. They return their punter and their kicker. Their kicker was 10 for 13, or excuse me, 10 for 13 at field goals. And again, they're very talented. I think our guys are looking forward to a great challenge. It's going to be a big game, and our guys are looking forward to playing in that one. It'll be a great matchup.
As Coach mentioned, and you talked about Cliff Harris, who's their #1 cornerback and #1 return guy, obviously not going to play in this football game, so that has an effect on the special teams. But they're going to be ready. They realize, like everybody else does, special teams is important. And as Coach Miles said, you got to be ready for anything. You know, they could have a trick up their sleeve. Both of these coaches are capable of having a trick up their sleeve.
Well, the return game is as crazy as this may seem, but even without Cliff Harris, they're just explosive, because Kenyon Barner, number 24, who we talked about in the running back segment, is an explosive returner. And Harris is outstanding, but they're going to miss him. They can return it, and they've got explosive playmaking ability. Jackson Rice is a good punter, strong leg, consistent, got some experience. Rob Beard is a good place kicker for him. Alex Maldonado is a backup that can punt and kick. So they're solid there. I think the difference for them, for Oregon, is their ability to cover LSU. LSU's got good return, explosive capabilities. They can't afford to give LSU a short field offensively by giving up big return yardage. I think Oregon, while they're explosive and they generate points, they can score from anywhere on the field. If you can hold LSU into the negative category, into the 25, 30 yard and back number, they're going to be more conservative, more protective of the football. If you give LSU some good returns and you lose the hidden yardage battle, LSU's going to be more aggressive in the green zone, in the plus area. So I think that's important, even more important from a return coverage standpoint for Oregon. That, to me, is going to be a big key. LSU, certainly, when you talk special teams, you have to talk both teams in unison. LSU, we know, some inexperience at punter and kicker. We'll see how that develops. But they've got really good athletes as returners. And obviously, as coverage guys, you don't want to give up cheap points in the kicking game, and I think the LSU special teams were humongous last year with the struggle that their offense had. That can't slip an iota this year if they're going to have any chance of having an 11-2 record like they did last year.
Chris, obviously that's an Oregon preview with offense, defense, special teams. Two-part question for you as you analyze the Oregon team. What is their #1 strength? Part 2 of the question, what is their #1 weakness?
Well, the #1 strength is speed on offense and the ability to spread you out and attack you in a multitude of ways. That's their biggest strength. I think the weakness would be strength at the point of attack on both sides of the ball, and as it relates to being able to block the A gap, the center guard gap on either side, and defensively, can they hold up against the run? They're going to have to commit a lot to defend the run on early downs. How effective can they be there, and do they feel comfortable in holding up on the back end if they are certainly going to be prone to some play action passes? So that, to me, is how I see them. Speed on offense, some strength at the point of attack on both sides of the line of scrimmage is where they're a little bit deficient, and it's where Oregon got them. I mean, it's where Auburn got them last year. Oregon got penetration through the A-gap defensively, and that was the big difference. It wasn't an explosive game for Auburn offensively. They just controlled Oregon's offense by limiting what they can do up the middle, and it's important. One thing I'd like to bring out that's really important, and it's important from an LSU defensive standpoint, how do you deal with Oregon? Oregon is noted in the spread scheme. They will, as we see the Quack 10 the T-shirt here, they're noted they have huge line splits. And you two ways you can handle that defensively when you have those huge line splits. They do it for a reason. They do it to create more space. If you adjust to those line splits to match what they do, you're just creating more space for them to make plays. If you don't adjust to that and you go with your normal adjustments to those line splits, then you've got to hold the point of attack very well, and it's more difficult to do so because the way that undersized teams block bigger teams is by creating better angles, creating leverage opportunities. So it's an adjustment that they're going to have to make, LSU will, and I think that the better way to play it is to not adjust to their wide line splits, to hold the ground at the point of attack and defeat blocks and get penetration up the middle. They do that, I think it's a huge advantage LSU. If LSU can't get penetration in the A-gap, if Oregon can block that successfully, they're going to win the game.
Chris, in the 6 years that Les Miles has been the head coach at LSU, we've seen a handful of trick plays and some gambles on fourth down and, some fake punts, fake field goals. Chip Kelly is in his third year, going into his third year as head coach at Oregon. How is he in that category?
Well, he's very aggressive, but he's very aggressive on a more down-in, down-out basis. Les is a little bit of an anomaly in that, he is very conservative offensively by design, but when pressed to and when needed, he'll have something that he'll throw out there. Whereas a lot of what Chip Kelly and that Oregon offense does is a lot of deceptive elements to it. And it's a lot of reverses, a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of looks where they get you going in a lot of different directions. So they really do a good job with that with their base scheme design. But they certainly have some reverses and some things that they'll throw in. But their base offense is enough trickeration and enough speed to cause a lot of problems. That's what they focus on. Now, defensively, they're very gimmicky. They will come with a lot of different looks. They come at you from a lot of different areas. They'll stem their front a lot, move a lot of pre-snap movement by defensive linemen, but they will show a lot of pre-snap looks coverage-wise, mix up a zone look and morph it into a man look and vice versa, and then they will really disguise their blitzes pretty well and come after you. Going to be very, very important LSU stays out of third and longs. You get in third and longs, that means you got to get some depth in your drops, get into the pocket, and you're likely going to be facing a very aggressive blitz package, and turnovers is always as important. You can't lose that battle. LSU certainly cannot. Oregon can maybe overcome it offensively. LSU cannot. I think if they get in third and longs, LSU, then they're going to be more susceptible to the blitz looks and have a hard time maybe protecting the football, and if that happens, that'll be very problematic for them.
The game on Saturday night will kick off at 7:12, 12 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock in Arlington at Cowboys Stadium. Want to remind you, immediately following the ball game at approximately between 10:30 and 10:45, it will be the Phones First WJBO Pelican Sports TV post-game show. Immediately following that game, we'll have the phone lines open. I'll be the host of the show. All season, my co-host will be Richard Condon, personality from the Score 1210 AM, and everybody's heard of Richard Condon. However, on this Saturday night against Oregon, Richard will be in Arlington with his wife, Sue, at the ball game. Richard will participate via phone on more than one occasion. I'll have Mike Delicano, a former Louisiana Tech player who appears on local radio programs, certainly knows his football. Did one of the post-game shows with us last year. He'll be great with his analysis and breakdown. Again, immediately following the LSU-Oregon game, live on WJBO. That's 11:50 a.m. in the Baton Rouge market. WJBO.com's the stream. And, of course, Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans. Also streaming, PelicanSportsTV.com. TV end of the program will replay on Sunday morning on Pelican Sports TV. If you want to see it again or hear it, you don't get to hear it after the game. So do want to remind you about that. And, of course, we got Pelican Sports Radio Monday through Fridays from 3 to 4 p.m. with Chris Landry and me, Tommy Kreisand, mixing it up with you every day, 3 to 4 p.m. on the Score 1210 a.m., which is a sister station of WJBO 1150 a.m. Booths are actually next door to each other in the Clear Channel studios and offices. And, of course, the Chris Landry Show, each and every Thursday. And that show does repeat in the New Orleans market on Friday evening. It repeats in Donaldsonville on Saturday. Got another announcement along the lines of that program for you next week. But 2 to 3 p.m. every Thursday. It's available on podcast at thescore1210.com. Chris Landry, what do you have for the folks this week on this week's edition of the Chris Landry Show?
Well, we're going to get into that spread offense in a little more detail as the Oregon version of it. Get you a good feel for what the concept is, what they're trying to do, what are some of the plays they run out of it, what are some of the counteractions they do off it, how you try to defend it. So we're going to get into that. We're going to even get even more in depth on Oregon's roster, LSU's roster, and certainly get prepared for this game. Get you prepared for the biggest college matchup of the weekend. We're certainly going to do that. And also, kind of as college football season is starting, kind of give you a quick run through around college football, the conferences, how I see some of those, at least at this stage, shaping up. Injuries and a lot of things take place that may alter that. But right now, how I think kind of the conference races may end up coming out at season's end.
And a great way to keep up with all of this, our Facebook page is Pelican Broadcasting. That's the Facebook page. Go ahead and friend us. Keep you up with all the activities. Again, you see Facebook, Pelican Broadcasting. Pelican Sports TV, Pelican Broadcasting, known for the hunting and the fishing and the outdoors programming. That's great for South Louisiana. And a great way to keep up with all of it is Pelican Broadcasting on Facebook. The Twitter account is at Pelican Sports. And we got a YouTube page. We got a soccer interview coming up later with Mo Isom, the senior goalkeeper for Brian Lee's LSU Lady Tigers soccer team. Probably tomorrow, sometime tomorrow evening, that'll be on our YouTube page in case you want to share that with a friend or check it out again, or you missed it, or let some other people know. So social media, Pelicans all over it. He's Chris Landry, NFL scout, Fox Sports football analyst. I'm Tommy Krysan of Pelican Sports TV. When we return, we'll visit with Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com. Spread the roar. You're watching Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans.